welcome to another episode of the A-List Movie Club. I am your host, the game changer, Wes Truth. And with me, as always, are Dominic and John. How's it going tonight, guys?
Lovely.
Good.
All right. And as everybody knows, this is a show where each week one of us picks a different movie for the others to check out and talk about. So this week it was John's turn. John, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you picked?
Okay, so again, this is another one of my personal top five all-time greatest favorite films. I'm not saying they're the best ever made. I'm saying to me,
Right.
my favorites. I picked the original Red Dawn.
All
This
right.
came out in '84. I was like 7 years old. So, and I don't know. I guess I just was at the age where I thought, they're high school kids, so they're not much older than me, and they're fighting back. So I guess maybe my delusional fantasy world, though, I could do that. So now that I'm old and fat, that's never going to happen. But, but I guess that's why I liked it so much. I'm older. We'll talk about that. I realize what kind of movie it is, but it's always held a special place, I guess, for that reason. Just
Okay. You have a pretty unique top five. In an alternate version of the 1980s, the United States is invaded by the Soviet Union along with their Cuban and Nicaraguan allies. As a group of students are in class, Soviet parachuters land on the school grounds and begin an all-out assault. A pair of brothers, Jed and Matt Eckert, and a handful of friends escape the chaos and hide in the wilderness. After finding some help, the teens plan a number of raids to get some revenge on the Soviets and hopefully save their town. So this was directed by John Milius, who also directed Conan the Barbarian, and it was released on August 10th, 1984.
good.
I remember seeing this movie when it came out. And I remember enjoying the hell out of it when it came out. Okay. I must have been really stoned, but I mean, no, when we watched it again, and I enjoyed it watching it again, but there's so many holes in the plot. First off, in 1984, I think the United States might have had something called radar that would have seen these ships or these planes or something coming in, and there would have been no way they would have landed on U.S. soil because we would have nuked everything. Okay, so that was my one big problem with it.
Oh, God.
Other than that, it was fun. It was a fun movie. It was neat seeing all these stars that you recognize now and everything when they were very young. Yeah, it's a good revenge type movie. It makes you think America. Yeah, America. But
Yes.
When you look it up on Wikipedia, it says this is a propaganda movie. That's the genre of it. I'm like, oh wow.
yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was. I think the opening scene at the high school was just. I remember when we saw it. It was just first time I saw it was just shocking. Mm-hmm. Some really nice scenery in the movie. Yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it again. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it is, and I'm not putting it down. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, definitely very patriotic.
Yep, America.
But yeah, like looking at it through the eyes of when I was 7 or 8, and looking at it now, I can see. Back then I was just, I don't know,
Yeah.
didn't know much about movies and all that, so I was in love with these kids fighting back. So
Well,
now that I'm older, yeah,
not think anything about What about the radar? What about, what we would have had some sort of warning and this and that,
Yeah.
You didn't
And I
think
wasn't
that back then.
no, or on any of the underlying like political stuff, and none of that meant anything to me. I was just as a kid watching kids fighting back.
By the way, this came out when you were 7. I was
1984.
21.
Negative
Wes wasn't
3.
even born yet. Wow. So yeah, there's a lot of plot holes. I was watching it, and I was even pointing stuff out like, how did that happen? When did these kids all become so good at guns? Like,
I know. And they were all such crack shots and stuff like that. And,
Assassins.
we were supposed to believe like 7 high school kids who probably never fired a gun before in their lives are taking out a highly trained army
Of Russians.
They're literally soldiers. That's what they do for a living. So yeah, like Dobson, I was never bored. I was enjoyed every minute of it. It's kind of one of those leave your brain at the door and just watch it on a Sunday afternoon kind of movie.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is for what it is. Yeah.
Now, you know what I did not remember was that Jennifer Grey was in this movie too. So they were in the movie together before Dirty Dancing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching it with my son's mom, and I'm like, "Do you know who that guy is?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "That's Charlie Sheen." She's like,
Yes.
"What?" I go, "Yeah, he's 19. He's so young."
Mhm.
Before anybody knew who he was, yeah.
Yep.
Leah Thompson, yeah, a lot of like before they were stars.
I'm sure you'll cover that. It was the first ever PG-13 film later on, but I thought that was pretty cool. I watched this back in 2012 when the remake came out, and I honestly didn't remember almost any of it. When we were rewatching it, I'm like, did I watch the wrong movie when I reviewed this the first time? I don't know. It was weird. I just really forgot all about it, I guess. But I did enjoy it a little more this time than I did evidently in my review, if that is what I reviewed. It's pretty bloody and violent by today's PG-13 standards, I thought. There are some decent action sequences, mostly shootouts, and then that helicopter scene at the end is pretty cool. Like we were saying, you're obviously going to have to suspend your disbelief as teens fighting the army is a little far-fetched, but it's still fun. I do think it's an interesting premise, and I really enjoyed the setup with this World War III setting. I really like the parachuting in, and it's odd to say that I like that. The shooting at the school, it's definitely a haunting image, and made me wonder what it would be like if an invasion like this would happen. And I did feel bad for the teens as the movie goes on and things go down. There's some surprises. It slowed down in a little bit in the middle for me when like they meet the lieutenant colonel, and I thought that was a little slow and can be a little overly depressing at times. Sometimes I felt they overdid it on the crying scenes, which I thought got a little monotonous, but they are kids. But I thought it picked back up when the Wolverines strike back, then towards the end. It's a great 80s cast, as we said, like before they were stars. I always thought Patrick Swayze was awesome. I miss seeing him and stuff. Yeah, so for what it was, I mean, it was an enjoyable couple hours for the most part.
5 of the 36 paratroopers at the beginning of the movie got blown as far as a mile off course. One of them got stuck in a tree in his Russian uniform and had to convince the locals that he was not really a Russian before they let him down. Look, he didn't get shot.
Yeah, really.
Patrick Swayze got frostbite during filming. And he said for years afterwards, he could still feel it in his fingers.
Wow.
Oh.
Red Dawn was the code name given by the military operation in Iraq that captured Saddam Hussein. So the director of this film thought that was quite an honor that they named it Red Dawn.
Yeah.
At the time, this movie was in the Guinness Book of Records for having the most acts of violence of any film. 134 acts of violence occur per hour, or 2.2 per minute. I'm sure that's since been passed.
Probably Goodfellas.
Or Scarface.
Yeah.
There is no computer graphics or miniatures or anything. Everything you see is real.
That's cool.
They really blew up tanks and they really blew up cars. And
nice.
The actors trained using real weapons. They went through an 8-week course of military training. There was a love story between Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey that they cut from the film.
I thought there might have, like, towards the end there, it seemed like, oh, was there something that we were missing here that all of a sudden...
Yeah. It got to be as much as 30 below zero when they were filming the snow scenes.
Oh, man.
That's, again, real snow. They didn't, no special effects. Supposed to take place in Calumet, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Although it wasn't filmed there.
I asked Dominic when we were watching it, what state does this take place in?
It was supposed to be in Calumet, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
They moved it to Calumet, Colorado.
Because Dominic was like, now there's a desert. A minute ago, there was snow.
Well, they filmed it in New Mexico and Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Charlie Sheen's very first movie.
It's a pretty big role for a first movie, too.
Yeah. The original trailer, I guess, came out back in '84, had a scene with a tank rolling up to a McDonald's where the Russian soldiers are eating. It was cut because right around that time, there was a shooting at a McDonald's in California. So that scene got cut. The CIA came to the set because people kept calling in saying there was Russian tanks in the area. From what you said, Wes, it is not the first PG-13 film made. It's the first one released.
Oh, okay.
The Flamingo Kid is the first PG-13, but that didn't come out till after Red Dawn.
Okay.
Filmed before it, released after. This I'm glad they cut. The Powers Booth, the pilot that they find.
Yeah.
And Leah Thompson were supposed to be a couple.
I thought they were going that way too, yeah.
Yeah, they had love scene, like an actual love scene and scenes of them being together, but test audiences did not like it and complained about the age difference.
Yeah.
They weren't sure if she was supposed to be a high school girl or not a high school girl, and
yeah, they don't really say.
Yeah. The guy just says my granddaughters, but he doesn't say if they're the same age.
Yeah.
But yeah, test audiences did not like that at all.
That makes sense later on too, then, because of what happens.
Yeah, you can see that they cut it, and then
yeah, because you're like, wait a minute.
Now.
Yeah, she would act like that over that, you know.
The gas station that they pull up to in the beginning to get supplies.
Yeah.
Was not a real gas station. It was built for this movie.
Oh, okay.
And local people kept stopping to get gas. The film takes place in 1989.
Oh, okay.
The director said this movie is meant to show the futility of war. That's the deeper meaning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This movie has a lot of deep meaning.
I just didn't see any of it.
Was it 4 actors in this film are no longer with us?
Wow.
Patrick Swayze, Powers Booth,
Oh, some of the older ones.
I hate to give away the end. The guy at the end, when we sort of did that to Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he's gone. And Harry Dean Stanton, that plays their dad,
Yep.
passed away.
Harry Dean Stanton, a very underrated actor.
I just watched a movie with him in and reviewed Brayless Classics, Pretty in Pink, where he played the dad.
The original name of the movie was Teen Soldiers.
Oh, good God.
The studio thought, that's probably what the studio said. The studio thought that wouldn't go well with audiences.
Yeah. Red Dawn sounds a lot better.
Leif Garrett auditioned for a role. I know you know who that is, Wes, but Dom, can you imagine that?
I've heard of him. I just don't know who he is.
That probably would have sucked ass.
Yeah.
And Patrick Swayze died in 2009.
Wow, it's been 11 years.
I didn't realize he'd been gone that long.
All right, so let's rate this sucker.
All right, Booker T, you can go first.
I enjoyed it. I mean, there were plot holes big enough that you could have driven some of those tanks through. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was, I'd give it a solid 6. Maybe a hair higher than that.
Yeah, this movie has some issues, that's for sure.
But I enjoyed watching it again. I did.
Yeah, it's a popcorn flick. It just is real.
Exactly.
Nothing to think about. Just watch and enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not The Godfather or anything like that. I'm with you. That's what I was thinking. It's probably about a 6. It is what it is.
Yeah, and and you know what? It sounds like when we're rating out of 10, a 6 doesn't sound so great, but it's an above average movie, in my mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're not reinventing the wheel or anything.
Right. Yeah. And I'm gonna agree with you guys with the 6. 666. That's pretty scary. But on the bright side, I'm gonna go from a mad to a do it, and twist the thumb there from my original review. So I enjoyed it more than I remembered. So
I think you're twisting something with your thumb.
That's a different YouTube channel.
Yeah. All right, Wesley, it's your turn to pick the movie.
Okay, so I was in the horror mood, but damn you, Amazon.
Yeah, sorry guys.
No, it's all good.
I'll let you know.
So I feel like you both have seen this, but I have never seen this.
Oh,
and I sort of want to find out what side of history I'm going to go on with this one, because people either seem to hate this or love it, and that is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
I'm not watching that film. I am not watching that fucking movie again.
I've seen every other Halloween movie but that one, because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
That when I saw that in the movie theater, and my friends and I walked out.
Yeah, it might be right up there with Howard the Duck then.
This might be worse than Howard the Duck.
Plus, we have brought this movie up quite a few times in our series so far, too.
This may be the first time I ever give a negative number.
All right, so we'll be back next week with our thoughts on Halloween 3. John, you want to talk a little bit about your podcast?
Sure. We Like Wrestling Podcast. It's a weekly podcast where four guys sit around talking about wrestling, past, present, tournaments, pay-per-view reviews. If it's wrestling related, we talk about it. We're on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you find podcasts. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We Like Wrestling Podcast.
All right. And of course, for me, you can subscribe right here on YouTube, youtube.com/westside of 515. I just uploaded Minari review, so go check that out. Anyway, like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/WesTruePayless. And you can follow me on the Twitter and the Instagram @WesAlist. Until next time, truth out. Oh.